There was a time when life felt closer to the ground, when days stretched out instead of closing in, when the world didn't ask so much of you all at once. Dogs belonged to that time. They lived without urgency, without clocks, without the need to be anywhere other than where they were. They moved through those years quietly, while everything else seemed to be changing. Hair got longer, music got louder, opinions got stronger. The world argued more than it used to. Dogs didn't argue. They stayed near. They stayed steady. They stayed the same while everything else tried to become something new. Back then, nobody talked about mindfulness. Nobody talked about slowing down. Dogs just did it. They showed us what it looked like to live in the moment before the moment became something we had to chase. They didn't care about the future. They didn't miss the past. They existed in a space that felt permanent even as the years kept moving. People came and went. Dreams shifted. Homes changed. Streets didn't always look the same twice. Dogs adapted without noticing they were adapting. They accepted new routines the way they accepted old ones, with patience, with trust, with a quiet understanding that being together mattered more than being right. They were there when days felt full and when days felt empty, when life made sense and when it didn't. They didn't need explanations. They didn't need answers. They just stayed. They waited without resentment. They followed without needing direction. They rested without guilt. They noticed things we stopped noticing, the way familiar sounds made a place feel safe. They didn't measure their lives in milestones. They measured them in presence, in closeness, in knowing who was still nearby. And maybe that's why we remember that time the way we do. Not because it was perfect, not because it was simple, but because it felt present. Dogs were never the stars of that era. They weren't the headlines. They weren't the noise. They were the constant, quiet, patient, unmoved by the rush. And in a world that kept trying to change itself, they reminded us what it meant to simply be there, to belong without effort, to stay without condition, to live without needing more.